Welcome to Living Life Unbinged. I'm your host, Christy McCammon, and I'm here to help you conquer sugar cravings, break free from food obsession, and step into the surrendered and abundant life God has planned for you. Let's dive in. I'm really glad you're here today because we're talking about something that every single one of us has tried, and honestly, most of us have probably failed at. The big buzzword, are you ready? Willpower. You know that feeling of, I'm just going to try harder. I'm going to be strong and I'm not going to mess it up this time. Maybe it works for a day or a week or even longer. And then suddenly we're back in the exact same place wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just get it together? If you've ever thought that, you're not alone. I've thought that, and I work with thousands of women who say the same exact thing. I want to start with this verse from 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses so that the power of Christ may rest on me. I love that so much. That's always been one of my favorite verses because I've always felt weak. God isn't asking us to try harder, and he isn't saying, you've got this. He's saying, I've got this. He's inviting us to stop pretending that we're strong enough on our own and actually rely on him. I recently heard someone say, let's build a self that we can rely on. Let's build a self that we can always count on, complete self-reliance. But when it comes down to it, we will always come to the end of ourself, eventually. But you know who doesn't? Yep, you guessed it, God. Let's just say this honestly and out loud. Willpower is overrated. Say it with me, will you? Willpower is overrated. It runs out. White-knuckling your way through cravings, gritting your teeth through temptation, yeah, sometimes it works. Definitely works sometimes. But eventually, we get tired. We get stressed. We get emotional. Life gets loud. And when our strength runs out, we fall right back into old patterns. This does not make you weak. It makes you human. God never designed us to depend on willpower. He designed us to depend on him and his power. Paul talks in the Bible about having a thorn in the flesh, and I get that. Food, especially processed sugar and flour, has been the thorn in my flesh. Not because I'm broken beyond repair, but because this is the area where I'm constantly reminded that I can't do life on my own strength. It's the place where my self-reliance runs out. It's the place that keeps me coming back to God again and again and again. And honestly, as frustrating as it has been at times, there's also a gift in it because every time I bump up against this struggle, I'm reminded that I need his wisdom, I need his strength, I need his grace day by day, meal by meal. The best part about this is that my struggle keeps me dependent on God. And dependence is exactly where freedom begins. And here's the hope. The same God who raised Jesus from the dead absolutely has the power to help us conquer sugar addiction, food obsession, and emotional eating. Resurrection power is greater than the cravings, greater than the habits, and greater than every single temptation. Here's the shift that changes everything. Instead of saying, I've got this, we can start saying, Lord, I don't have this, but you do. That's the surrender, that's the strength, and that's the peace. And honestly, that's where real change begins. Because willpower says, I can do this if I just try harder. But God's strength says, stay close to me, trust me, let me lead you. In episode 2, I told you about the boundaries that help keep food in its rightful place. Those boundaries, the Life Unbinged food plan, and the tools of surrender make our relationship with food so much better and give us great structure for success. But sometimes temptation shows up when we least expect it. Occasionally, we experience a strong craving and our strength and willpower only go so far. Let's say, for example, an old food calls your name after an argument with your spouse or family member. I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate conflict, and that's one of the things that drives me to food and emotional eating because I just want to numb the feelings and thoughts. Maybe you drive past a drive-thru after a hard day and you feel like you deserve a treat. Perhaps everyone's eating dessert when you're physically and emotionally exhausted and your brain says, let's just have one. We all know how that turns out, right? Or in an anxious moment, someone puts a basket of chips or a basket of rolls in front of you. These are the moments that I realize I'm weak. My willpower has run out, and His strength is exactly what I need and the only thing that will get me through the craving successfully. I like to call these make or break moments because what we do during those temptation matters. We first need to pause. There have even been times where I've literally excused myself from a table, gone into the restroom or outside, taken a deep breath, and prayed, Lord, I don't have this. I need you. Because if I didn't pause, I would find myself halfway into the food before I even realized what was happening. When I'm relying solely on myself and my own willpower, I run the risk of diving headfirst into the food. Or I may sit there in strength, gritting my teeth, white knuckling, and not dive in, but it's still on the forefront of my mind. So ultimately, those foods are still controlling me. When I allow God to be the source of my strength and rely on His power, I'm able to resist temptations and experience freedom. I can look at the people around me, eat a beautifully planned meal, and let the cravings simply become background noise. So next time you feel the urge rising, next time the chips hit the table, next time sugar starts calling your name, just pause, take a breath, and whisper, Jesus, I need your strength here. And then trust Him to meet you there. I want you to know that God truly cares. He cares about your body. He cares about your health. He cares about your relationship with food, and He cares about your freedom. And He's not disappointed in you. He's inviting you closer because true strength is not found in more discipline. It's found in dependence. Next week, we're going to talk about how to create a temptation plan and the number one thing I do when cravings start calling. Thanks for joining me today. If you are ready to break free from food obsession and sugar cravings and start living your life unbinged, join me at lifeunbinged.com. If this episode spoke to your heart, I'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend. Until next week, go in grace and walk in freedom.